Hello, and welcome to the We're Not Stumped podcast. I'm your host, Mike Bolland, and I'm a congenital amputee of the right hand. In this show, I will interview other amputees and allow them to tell you their incredible life stories. I'll also feature family members of amputees and others who support the amputee community, all in an effort to discuss the challenges and triumphs of those living with limb loss. So stick around and listen to inspirational stories and find out why we say, We're Not Stumped. Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the We're Not Stumped podcast. I'm your host, Mike Bolland, and today I welcome Nick Pryor. Nick lost his right leg in a shotgun accident at 4 years old. However, that didn't hold him back as he found a love of sports. Nowadays, Nick wears many hats in his life. One is an adaptive athlete, and the other is being the program manager for athletics at a fantastic organization called Ability360. Today, we're going to learn more about Nick and that fantastic organization called Ability360. But first of all, Nick, thank you so much for being a guest on the We're Not Stumped podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited. I've been to your facility, and it's fantastic, and I learned a lot more about you, and I just can't wait to get into this. But we always start the podcast with a segment I call In Your Own Words. So I'd like to learn a little bit more about you.
Yeah, so I'm originally from a small town in Indiana, about 2,000 people, one stoplight town. So I lost my leg in a tragic gun accident a month before my 5th birthday. Neighbor kid had found a collectible gun that his grandpa had gifted him, found some shells for it. Parents were not at the house, and as he was trying to load the gun, it went off and spread, and it hit my leg first. It was buckshot. It was a 12 gauge shotgun, so it hit my leg first, and that buckshot kind of spread. And then my little sister was walking down the alley as it happened. She unfortunately lost her life that day. I lost my leg. My older brother was there as well, who got a couple of pieces of shrapnel as well. But so yeah, from there I've spent a couple weeks in the hospital, multiple surgeries. They tried to save my leg by taking out my lat muscle. That didn't work, and then my parents, opted for the amputation, and could have been it is the best thing that ever happened to me. So just after kind of that recovery time, I went back to being a normal kid. Was very fortunate to live in that small community that was so helpful and so supportive that never let me make excuses and let me jump in and play sports. And that's how for me was my way to be normal. So all my friends, I always give them a ton of respect and that acknowledgement, because I wouldn't be where I'm at today without that hometown. But I knew from a young age that the small town life wasn't for me. I knew I wanted to go and do some bigger things. So I was the first kid in my family to ever go to a 4-year university. I went to Indiana, graduated from there with a kinesiology degree, played college club baseball there, and wanted to keep playing sports after I was done in college. A lot of people are, they hang it up, they're done. And I was fortunate to have a professor of mine, Rizal Mawat, who introduced me to Paralympics and just like kind of the general population back then. Like I just thought, Special Olympics, Paralympics were the same thing. And he really opened my eyes to that. I did my first Desert Challenge Games, track and field, that summer after I graduated out here in Arizona. Was lucky enough to my mom, my stepdad, and my grandma all lived out here. So I spent a couple summers during college, all winter and all the winter breaks, and knew this is where I was going to live once I graduated. And then that first, Desert Challenge Games, that first Paralympic competition was, really opened my eyes, and I realized what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. And so I applied for grad school at ASU, studied adaptive sports, and motivations for participations there, and got linked up with Ability360 here, and the rest is kind of history.
Yeah, the rest is great history. And I did a lot of looking around and research on you before getting on here. One of the things I didn't read about your sister. So certainly thank you for sharing that. And I'm sorry for your loss.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, I didn't know about that. Are you still competing in the Desert Challenge?
I haven't competed in track and field in quite some time. I had injured my shoulder when I was competing, and then kind of all the other sports took over, and that's when I started doing wheelchair basketball, the amputee basketball. I did football for a little while. I took this year off, and just because family time, but real focus is with wheelchair softball. You know, getting to go to Japan last year with Team USA was one of the biggest goals that I've had in the sport. So I want to keep that growing. And then I've done triathlons as well. So I stay busy with the training and everything else with that. So track and field kind of quit doing that for a little bit. So we'll see. I mean, I threw javelin and stuff, and so hopefully if I can get my shoulder back to normal, I can get back into it.
Yeah, I'm sure you will, with as active as you are. I very rarely get to talk to someone who was an amputee at a very early age. Like, I'm a congenital, so it's been like this my whole life. So as you look back at those times growing up, I know you talked about how great it was growing up in a small town and having the friends you had. But is there any wisdom or anything you can share about growing up from an early age that really helped you out that maybe someone listening can impart? Maybe a parent of somebody. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I do a lot of talks with parents. I'm fortunate enough to do some stuff with Navability camps and do camps with them all over the country year round. And that's the biggest thing for me, is even parents of kids without disabilities, let them ask questions. And I'm huge on that, because kids are the ones that are not really going to care. They're going to see you for who you are, and that's how it should be. And I think for me, as now being a parent of two kids that grow up around this is their normal. And that's, you know, for me, like, that's the biggest thing, like, just knowing, like, this is how life should be for everybody.
Yeah, that's very well said. And you have a wife, Stephanie, a son, Oakland, and a daughter, Evelyn. And to your point, this is their normal. But I'm sure there's times where you're either with their friends or family, or maybe at a school function, where you're probably on display. I'm saying that from a little bit on experience. What is that like for you, and how is that when you're
actually really got my first taste of it last weekend? So my son just started playing basketball, 4 to 6 year old, and it's kind of crazy because my friend Justin, who's a wheelchair user, he wanted to help out, so he's my assistant coach. And you know, we have all these able-bodied kids, and you got a coach with one leg and an assistant coach that's in a wheelchair. And then you can, you know, my wife's on the sideline, like, you know, hearing what the parents are, you know, saying, and then, you know, the kids are asking questions. And for him, he didn't really take any offense to it. I know as he gets older, it's going to be a little bit different, but you know, I'm straight up with the kids. I tell them my story, and you know, this is what helps me walk and be able to do what you do. And that's pretty much the end of the conversation. Then they, you know, see me playing around with them and teaching them. And that's, you know, that's all you can ask for.
Yeah. Just being a normal person, kind of like you said. If you're comfortable, I'm curious, what were some of the parents saying? Was it positive, negative, or?
It's more curiosity.
Okay.
Like, okay, what's this guy going to teach my kid about playing basketball? Like, can he play basketball? Like, and that's the thing, like, everybody, you know, is going to talk until they see, you know, the results and how you treat their kids and what they're what you're teaching them, how you can move out there. And then they kind of get it right away. It's like, oh yeah, this guy knows what he's doing. He can play, he can coach.
Yeah, you can definitely play. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's what I was saying. Like, once they see it, it's all normal.
Yeah, and you just recently organized at the Ability360 would you call it a stand-up basketball tournament?
Yeah.
Or not tournament, event. How did that go? Yeah. I was very curious. I wanted to play, but I had a conflict that weekend. But keep me posted. But do you have a senior league when it comes to these things?
So in hopes, like, the more and more amputees that we can get, we can kind of do different brackets and be more competitive, more recreational.
Yeah.
And this year it was our, 7th year doing it. Of course, COVID didn't let us play for a few years there, but this was our 2nd year back from COVID. We had probably over, around 30 participants with upper and lower extremity, amputations. And something really cool that we do with that too is back with that Ability group, who, I was introduced to from my friend Rich, who I play AMP1 with, who's been with that organization coaching for years. I've been with them, the last, I think this will be my 4th year doing stuff with them. And so we do a kids camp in the mornings, and then those kids come and play in the tournament style with us in that afternoon. So it's something super special to me. Give back, teach those kids, and then just have them jump in and play with us, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, we do 3-on-3 on the Saturday. We get everybody going 5-on-5 full court on Sundays, just because when we first started this tournament, a lot of the people couldn't get past one day or the 3-on-3 or didn't want to play full court, and we kind of wanted to push people to be able to do that.
Well, I used to play full court, but again, my age is a little different. But honestly, I'll go out and play. I think basketball is actually my favorite sport. That and golf. I mean, I just love those sports. Why I turned pro in bowling, I have no idea, because that was like number 8 on the list. But it is what it is. And I read, or I listed a lot of the things that you're associated with. You're associated with the Wheelchair Suns, the Wheelchair Cardinals, the Diamondbacks, a member of AMP1, which you described, and Team USA wheelchair softball. How is all that going for you? I mean, it sounds exciting to me.
It's all awesome. I'm super busy.
I can imagine.
As you can tell.
Yeah.
On top of that, I'm a board member for the National Wheelchair Softball Association. I teach inclusive community sport at ASU. So it's all go. This is my whole life from the time I wake up till I go to sleep. And, I really enjoy doing it. And as long as I can keep doing it, I'm going to do it.
I've been able to talk to others that are very much into sports as well. And they talk about not only the benefits of the physical part and keeping yourself in shape, but also how it affects the mental part and the positive effects it has on people with disabilities and amputees in a positive way. Do you find that to be the case as well?
Oh, absolutely. I think that social aspect of sports is super important, especially in a community where, people are going through something similar or gone through something similar, and to find, unity in that and be there for each other and, bounce ideas off of, give tips, tricks, all that good stuff. I think it's huge. I mean, I've made so many friends doing this, and, I want to trade it for the world, and some of the best people I've ever met in my life. So, it's definitely, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be doing this.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Let's talk about Ability360, because I was very fortunate. I took a tour of your facility, and you're there now. But I was blown away. I mean, I'm actually having problems speaking because it was the most beautiful facility I'd ever been in. And growing up like I did, those places weren't available to me. What is that like, working there and seeing the impact it has on the community?
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, I've been here for, a little over 9 years now. And it's the same since when I started here. Just like you said, when you walk through those doors and you see these people, and what we can, provide for them and be a resource to the community is huge, because like you said, I didn't have any place like this growing up too. So I think for me, it's a big thing for me to advocate for this place and get people here, because it can change your life. And there's so many more opportunities than what you think's out there. I mean, I grew up an hour south of Turnstone in Fort Wayne and never knew that place existed until I got here. So I think it's, my duty to, go out in the community and be a resource for, kids and families, anybody that's going through what they got to go through. And I mean, and that's what this place is. It's something special for somebody to come in, and it's a safe space, and nobody's going to judge you, and people are always going to be here smiling and doing whatever they can to help you out.
There was a lot of smiles the day I was there. I just really like that place. And for those of you that are just listening to the podcast, it's ability360.org if you'd like to learn more about that organization. You know what I want to do? I want to read the mission statement because I think the mission statement is fantastic. So here's the mission statement for Ability360. Ability360 offers and promotes programs designed to empower people with disabilities to take personal responsibilities so that they may achieve or continue independent lifestyles within the community. So to me, as I read more and got to learn more about your organization, sports is one of the ways that your organization makes this happen. What are some of the other things Ability360 does for the community?
Yeah, so I mean, we're the biggest center for independent living here in Arizona. We do a lot of advocacy, home care services, employment benefits, and trying to get people jobs, home modification, and that's, and I can't even keep up with what they're doing across the street over here because I'm more focused on the sports and fitness side of things. But to be able to see what they're doing for the community that's not sports related is incredible. And if you're a person with a disability and you don't know about us here in Arizona, you definitely need to know about us because we're going to be able to, give you those resources to live that independent life.
Yeah, I was reading the programs and services: individual systems advocacy, information and referral, employment, as you said, empowering youth in transition, home modifications. You talked about that, social and recreational opportunities. I'm sure that you're very much into that as well as sports, fitness, and health and wellness, and home care services. That's what I like so much about the organization. It's encompassing of everything. It's not just, as I say sometimes, like my old prosthetics back there, that's a product, but that's just part of the whole piece of the pie that creates everything for someone in the disability community. So one of the things when I talk to people that are very familiar with Ability360, they always bring up one part of that facility. It seems like everyone talks about this one part. I don't know if you know which one I'm going to talk about, but I'm going to throw it out there. The rock wall.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Talk about that rock wall and what that means for people to be able to conquer that wall.
Yeah, I mean, so we got that 35-foot rock wall that's in the gym. It's beautiful. We keep it pretty nice and clean. And we have, just like you sign up for a class, we have times where it's open. We have players there, and something that's super cool that we have that not a lot of places have is the adaptive equipment. So if a wheelchair user wants to climb the rock wall, we have that for them to try and to do, and we take it outside some of the times too, or we'll do some programming. So they'll come in the gym, do it at the rock wall, and then we'll take them out. Tom's Thumb is usually where we go and get to see them climb out there and be able to do some stuff they never thought they could do. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, that's always the one that people talk about because to your point, it's for all adaptive people. No matter what situation you're in, you're able to go up that wall. And I got to imagine, and the people that I've talked to that have done it, it's such a feeling of accomplishment, and that's got to help, especially the mental part.
Oh, absolutely. It's just, like I said, doing something you never thought you could do is always, one of those feelings you can't really express. Yeah.
Yeah. And you talked about the facility too and how clean it is. I mean, gosh, it was spotless. But when I looked at it, and I took a tour, I was very fortunate, and I thank Megan for taking me on a tour. There was the basketball facility, and then there was the weight room. And talk about the facility and some of the things that are offered there.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a huge facility. We have 2 full-size basketball courts, as you mentioned, the rock wall down there, the track up, the suspended track that goes around top that you can see the basketball courts on, the fitness center that, has all the adaptive equipment that you could possibly think of, seats that move out so wheelchairs can go in, all the classes we have. We have that group fitness room upstairs. We provide so many classes during during the week for anybody and everybody. We got our aquatic center, which has a full lap pool, therapy pool where a lot of, therapists come in from different organizations and do treatment for their patients out there. We have a hot tub, and I mean, it's universally accessible. So if, you think that you can't get around here, you can definitely get around. That's something I always like to point out is just the texture changes in the floor, just for our members with visual impairments, so they can know where they're going if they're in the locker room or if they're on the gym floor or anywhere else. So I think, we love it here. We want to share it with everybody. That's why I love hosting tournaments for teams all over the country, because we want to see more of these built. That's for sure.
So if another organization wants to partner with your organization within the sports, it would be best maybe to get a hold of you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've hosted so many different events. I mean, we did just wheelchair basketball. We did 4 different tournaments last year. We do, like you mentioned, Cactus Classic, stand-up amputee. We do power soccer, quad rugby. The list goes on and on of what we do. And like I said, we want other organizations and other teams to come and visit, because then they can take that back home and be like, hey, we want something like this.
And you also have a golf program, if I'm not mistaken. Right?
Yeah, we do have an adaptive golf program that goes, from usually start sometime October, November when it cools off a little bit until May. We do it every other Wednesday, or what is it, the 4th Wednesday or the 3rd Wednesday of the month. We'll go out to different courses. We'll go do Papago driving range. We'll do Encanto, and we'll play 9 out there. But we really like to do that driving range a little first, get people accustomed to the golf equipment we have, because we have solo riders and stand-up and plays that will actually stand you up. You can swing right from the cart and go right on the path, go on the greens. And we have some really good relationship with the city of Phoenix and their golf courses that allow us to go out and give us some tee times and get out there on the course. It's one of my favorite things to do. It's nice to get out of the office during the week sometimes, so and go out there and just caddying for our members is probably my favorite thing to do on a Wednesday.
Wow. Yeah, I've heard nothing but great things about that as well. And one of these Wednesdays I'd like to get out. Obviously, we're taping this in Arizona, and it's June 18th, and it's probably going to be 112 out. So not today, but maybe not for a little while. But yeah, it's everything I've heard about that is just. And I saw some pictures at your facility of some of the events you've had and the stand up. I don't want to do it injustice, but there are tools or carts that enable people to stand up if they can't do that themselves.
Yeah, so we're fortunate to have, we got 2 solo riders right now. Those are ones that they're like a 1-person cart that'll swing you out. It can stand you up a little bit if you need to, swing right from the cart and keep going. And then we have, I think, 3 stand-up and plays, now newer version of the Verticat. We got one of those, so we load up the trailer and get them filled every week, and that's our goal is, Tim Surrey, who helps run the program, he's always wanted to make Phoenix the #1 destination for disability golf, and I don't see why it couldn't happen.
Yeah, especially with all the golf courses we have out here. Yeah. I would agree. As you look forward to your role at Ability360 as the program manager, what are you looking to? How do you want to continue to grow that program?
I mean, just from when I've started to where it's at right now it's pretty incredible. Like I said, when I first started, we only had a power soccer team, a quad rugby team, and then I kind of started getting more involved in wheelchair basketball when we acquired the team from Gary Van John, who retired. And I started with 1 team. It was D3, which is the lowest competition for adult divisions, about 10 athletes, and since then to now we got 5 teams. 2 youth teams, a women's team, a D2, D3 team. So ultimate goal for that would be have every single division offered here, and doing tournaments and that kind of stuff. And then just really growing everything. If I could have two teams for everything, I would love it. Just because, I mean, we're in, you know, a large city and we know there's people out there who want to do this. So for me as somebody, like, I'm never going to be like, okay, we're only going to have this. No, we have the people that want to do it. I'm going to do everything I can to, you know, send them out and get them to travel and compete. So, you know, I'd like to see this a place where we have Paralympic athletes at all the time, as well as, you know, starting to get some national championships is always the goal as well. And we've been close, but, you know, we're still waiting for that first one.
I didn't get a chance to read, or I don't know if it's anywhere to read, the growth that you've experienced as you've been in that. And I know you touched on it, but you started with basically just one team and one focus.
Yeah. And when we just, for just the wheelchair basketball, and then wheelchair softball started just right before COVID. They had 1 year. We had a couple other girls that wanted to start a team, some people that wanted to start a team. And then after COVID, like I said, I played college baseball. My little brother lives out here who played college baseball, coaches, and I wasn't going to play. And had so many people that wanted to put a team together for that year. And I was like, okay, I'll just do it 1 year. I'll coach, I'll play, but then I'll pass it on. And then fell in love with it and got super involved in it. So I'd like to see that going, because I mean, we're only 4 years into that. And my stepdad and my little brother help coach, volunteer coach with me. Like I said, this is my life.
Yeah. And so there was something interesting that you had said that I thought, I guess I didn't think about it this way. You're the program manager, obviously, and you've spearheaded a lot of the growth, but sometimes people come to you and go, hey, have you thought of this sport? And then do they also, I mean, it'd be, I guess it wouldn't be nice if they say, have you thought of this sport? I'll see you later. You know, hopefully they stay on to help to a certain extent. So if someone had an idea for something they'd like to see, they just go to you and have a discussion, I guess. Yeah,
and then I talk with Gus. I see what we do. I talk to some of the athletes we already have if they're interested in that. And like I said, I want athletes to play multiple sports. They're going to get better at whatever sport they're doing if they're playing other sports. And it's incredible to see some people that have never played baseball before. You know, there's one guy on our team who could barely throw a softball when we first started, and now he's throwing it from the outfield fence all the way to first. So, yeah, that's the stuff that gets me excited, because, like you said, like, they never thought, you know, they would be able to do that, and then they're exceeding all their expectations, and that's what I like to see.
Yeah, and again, it leads so much to the mental aspect of what you're trying to do. So we already talked about what you're looking to do as you move forward. Like, if people wanted to learn more about you, I believe you have a website. What is that website?
Yeah, it's nickpryor.org. It's just kind of my setup just to get, you know, my info out there, especially to some of the parents and stuff. I've done some speaking and stuff. I mean, that's not my main focus. I do a lot of the speaking through Ability360 and in AMP1 and through all the sports that I do. But it's just there to be a resource for, you know, the kids that I coach and, you know, the adults that I coach. And if somebody needs a reference, I mean, I got an email last week from somebody back home that somebody had just gotten into a farm accident, wanted somebody to talk to. So that's what that's there for. If somebody wants to reach out, I'm more than willing to talk.
So when you look at your life, you know, growing up without one of your legs, what is something that you've lived by that you can maybe impart to other people that are listening, going through their own journey? What are some of the tips you'd give them? One or two?
I'd say for me, I was just always knew, like, that I wanted to do something and nothing was going to hold me back. Whether that was missing a leg or, you know, not having finances to, you know, go to college and put that on myself. But it was just never stopping, never giving up. Because there's always light at the end of the tunnel. And, you know, I was fortunate enough, like I said, to find this place and been here for over 9 years and create, and, you know, an awesome family that is involved in this community, and they love being around it. So I think for me, it was always shooting for the stars and hoping, you know, you land within the clouds, what they say. But that was it. I wasn't going to take no for an answer, and I just kept trucking along until I got it, and I'm not going to stop anytime soon either. So.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much for your time today. The knowledge you imparted, that last part you just said about shooting for the stars and keep moving, keep going forward, is such an important thing to communicate, and they can learn more. People can learn more about you on your website. And also, thank you for everything you do with Ability360, and certainly thank you to Ability360 for putting this interview together. Your organization is one that is making the difference in so many people's lives, and I can't thank you enough for your time today.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
That was the We're Not Stumped podcast, hosted by Mike Bolland. If you want to be a guest on the program, reach out to Mike at his email address, mike@mikebolland.com. This podcast is produced by One Hand Man Productions. If you are looking to start your podcast, go to onehandmanproductions.com.